It's 3-1 on fractions and decimals. The objective is to write fractions as terminating and repeating decimals and to compare fractions and decimals. The Common Core state standards are listed and the mathematical practices. We're going to be writing fractions and mixed numbers as decimals. So to change a fraction to a decimal, you're going to divide the numerator by the denominator until it ends or terminates. So in a fraction, the a is your numerator and the b in this example is your denominator. It's the same as written as a divided by b. B in your denominator cannot be equal to 0. It's undefined. And when you're dividing it out, long division, the a goes inside, the b goes outside. And if you were using a calculator, the a would go into your calculator first, or your numerator, and then the denominator would go in second. So it would be a divided by b into your calculator. We're going to write each fraction or mixed number as a decimal with and without a calculator. So we're going to use a bar to show a repeating decimal. So the first thing that we're going to do is let's try it without a calculator. So long division, for 3/8, so 3 would go inside, 8 would go outside, add a decimal point and a couple zeros. Bring your decimal point straight up. 8 doesn't go into 3, but it goes into 30 3 times, which is 24. Subtract, bring down. How many times does 8 go into 60? It goes in 7 times, which is 56. Subtract, bring down. How many times does 8 go into 40? And it goes in 5 times with a remainder of 0. So it's equal to 0.375. Now if you use a calculator, your 3 would go in the calculator first, then you would divide it by 8, and you would hit the equal sign. So here's your calculator on your computer. You would do 3 divided by 8 equals, and you can see you have the same answer, 375 thousandths. Number 2 is a negative. So we need to make sure that when we do our answer is negative. So we're going to put an answer in right away. Since there is no whole number or integer out in front, okay, this is a proper fraction, there's not going to be anything in front of your decimal. So we can put a 0 in to fill it as a placeholder. So our 5 goes inside, our 9 goes outside, add a decimal point and a couple zeros. Bring your decimal point straight up. 9 doesn't go into 5, but it goes into 50 5 times, which is 45. Subtract, bring down. 9 goes into 50 5 times, which is 45. Subtract, bring down. We can see that we're developing a pattern. So we write 1 5, we don't need to put any more, and put a bar over it. That tells us that it's repeating. And with a calculator, you would put your 5 divided by 9 equals, in this example over here, to get it on the calculator, they round the last digit, but it's still 0.555 repeating. Also, to put into the negative, using the calculator, you could do 5, hit the plus or minus key, divided by 9 equals, and you can also see that you have a negative out in front. In number 3, it's a mixed number, 4 1/8. We're changing the fraction part to a decimal. We don't need to make it an improper fraction and convert it. We can just bring our whole number over and change your 1/8 to a decimal. The 1 goes inside, the 8 goes outside. Add a decimal point, couple zeros. Your 8 goes into 10 one time. Subtract, bring down. 8 goes into 22 times, which is 16. Subtract, add another 0, bring down, and 8 goes into 45 times. So 4 1/8 is the same thing as 4 and 125 thousandths. In number 4, it's a mixed number that has a negative in front of it. Negative 7 1/6. We're going to change the 1/6 to a decimal. We can bring the negative 7 out in front of your decimal and convert the 1/6 into a decimal. So 6 goes into 10 one time. Subtract, bring down. 6 goes into 40 6 times. Subtract, bring down. I'm running out of space here. There's a 4 over there. And when we bring down, we can see that we're developing a pattern. So it's 7.16 with the bar only over the 6. So your final answer is negative 7.16 with a 6 repeat. In the next section, we're going to compare fractions and decimals. So we're going to compare each rational numbers by putting the greater than, less than, or equal into the blank. So in our first example, we're comparing two decimals, 29 hundredths and 22 hundredths. So the first thing that we want to do is line up our decimal places. So since they're both on the positive side, the number closest to the 0 is the smaller one. So that makes 9 bigger than 2. So 29 hundredths is greater than 22 hundredths. In number 6, we have 1.3, and the dot, dot, dot means that it keeps repeating. And then we have 1.33, or 1 33 hundredths, so it terminates. We can add some zeros in as placeholders. So in this example, they're both positive, so again, the one further away from 0 is the bigger number. They're all the same until we get into the thousandths place. So the 3 is bigger in the first one, so 1.3 repeating is bigger than 1 33 hundredths. In number 7, it's negative 2 and 1/12. We want to compare it to negative 2 and 9 hundredths. Because we have a fraction, we're going to convert that to a decimal before we can compare. So our 1 goes inside, our 12 goes outside. And since our second number is 9 hundredths, we only need to go 2 or 3 places after the decimal, depending on the numbers. So 12 doesn't go into 10, so put in a 0. 12 goes into 100. So how many times does 12 go into 100? Well, we can guess and check off to our side. Let's try 7. So that's 14, carry the 1, and we get 84. If we do 12 times 8, we get 16, carry the 1, we get 96. So 8 times 96. Down the 4, and you can stop right there because we're already 2 places after the decimal. Now line up your digits and compare. And you can see that since we're on the negative side, the number closest to 0 is greater. So 8 is closer to 0. So negative 2 and 8 hundredths is greater than negative 2 and 9 hundredths. In number 8, we have a decimal and a fraction. So let's change that fraction to a decimal. The 7 goes inside, 9 goes outside. 9 goes into 70 7 times, which is 63. Subtract, bring down. 9 goes into 70 7 times. Subtract, bring down, and we can see that we're developing a pattern. So we're going to compare negative 75 hundredths and negative 0.777 repeating. All right, so we can see that in the hundredths place, they're different. But since it's on the negative side, the number closest to 0 is the bigger number, so negative 75 hundredths is greater than negative 7 ninths. In the last example, we have a problem solving. So breakfast. In a survey of students, 13/20ths of the boys and 17/25ths of the girls said they make their own breakfast. On those surveyed, do a greater fraction of boys or girls make their own breakfast? So one way we can do this is convert them to decimals. So the boys are 13/20ths. The girls are 17/25ths. So to follow along with the lesson, we change them to decimals. So 20 goes into 130 6 times, which is 120. subtract, bring down. 20 goes into 100 5 times. So 13/20 is the same thing as 65 hundredths. All right, to change the next one, bring your decimal point straight up. And how many times does 25 go into 170? That is 6 times, which is 150. Subtract, bring down, and 25 goes into 200 8 times. So the girls have 68 hundredths. So do boys or girls make their own breakfast? Well, since the 68 hundredths is greater, girls are more likely to make their own breakfast. If you have any questions on the lesson, you can ask me in class.